At the SIAM plenary function, it's a pleasure to have not just the present president of SIAM, but also an old friend, Vikram Kirloskar. Vikram, welcome to Zeegnition, and let me, what you call, put you in the place as the SIAM president. There has been a lot of churn going on in minds. How do you address this churn? Because I don't think everyone and anyone can put a finger on A or B or C issue pertaining to the automotive industry growth, and everyone thinks about growth has to be in double digits always. Your views on this absolute fact of life?
Good to see you, Adil. Thank you for inviting me. Uh, see, the auto industry here is very unique in the world. One thing, we have almost every player in the world manufacturing in India.
True.
We have the most competitive, maybe small car sector in the world, and nowhere in the world you have so many models. I've seen pricing of vehicles in other parts of Asia, Southeast Asia, or Middle East is much higher than what we have here. Very frankly, if I remove the taxes, I'm looking at without taxation everywhere. So we are working in an extremely competitive economy, extremely competitive customer who is demanding.
But isn't competition good, Vikram?
No, the competition has been very good for us because it has made, if you look at us, we have exported last year 600 or 700,000 cars. This year it's increasing by another 15-20%. This has resulted in us being one of the most competitive car makers in the world.
True.
We could never imagine that 10-15 years ago. That we'll be a super car maker in the world with high quality products, acceptable all over the world.
So why is this sense of dismay in the minds of so many segments of our society? Again, like, is it a problem of communicating this?
I think the market has lots of headroom. We are going through ups and downs of growth. You know, we are used to 15-20% sometimes growth rates. Those are not sustainable in the long run. You know, we're having a 6-7%, 8% growth rate. Companies around the world will give their right arm for.
Of course.
So I think we have to watch it. We have to figure out how to manage the 6-7% growth, look for new opportunities outside India, and be prepared when the GDP rate starts growing by like in double digit numbers. 8, 9, 10%, India is definitely going to grow sooner or later.
As I see it, in this year, we have got some segments doing good,
Yes.
considering that we had a very lean, flat last couple of years.
Yes.
Some segments have petered out. Some segments still have the potential for growth, but someone is not taking that critical final step to burst that ceiling.
See, like two-wheelers, people are worried the last few months on flat two-wheeler growth.
Why should they
And
be?
I think I'm not so worried. I think there's a structural change in the way the government has been dealing with these various schemes which are affecting the rural area. The method of dealing with these schemes has been different. And perhaps there is less leakage in those schemes.
Right.
And I think because of that, there is perhaps less of a demand in the two-wheelers in the rural markets. But I think this will correct itself.
Okay.
There is a strength in the rural market. There's a size of a rural market which is growing, and it'll correct itself. So I'm not so concerned. What was worrying me more was the commercial vehicle sector, because that meant commercial vehicles are capital goods, and you see if commercial vehicles, the way they went, was really saying that the infrastructure was not growing.
Absolutely.
And the investments in capital assets in the country was not happening. But now you see the commercial vehicle sector start growing, and I hope it's an indication that the infrastructure growth has started. People are investing in the big capital assets, big country capital assets, and that's a positive sign, I think.
Okay, it's good that you touched on this infrastructure issue. Our honorable minister has given a track record or a potential track record of doing 30 kilometers of roads per day. I think it's still stuck between 10 and 11 per day. How do you see this? How do you reconcile this, what you speak and what's actually unfolding on the ground?
See, if you look at what are the issues with road construction, what's the biggest issue on physical infrastructure in India? It's land acquisition. If you look at the telephone infrastructure, mobile, we've gone to what, I don't know, 800, 900 million mobiles.
It's the biggest in the world.
Yeah, biggest in the world, and so fast, at the lowest cost, because it doesn't require the kind of land that the old kind of telephones required.
True.
Or the IT industry doesn't require the kind of land
manufacturing
manufacturing industry requires. Well, I think land acquisition is a key issue even for constructing roads. If you look at why roads are held up, if you look at the nice road around Bangalore, why is the full circle not made? Because of litigation. It's not because they're not able to build the road, or they don't have the money to build the road, or the technology to build a good road. This is the issue. I'm highly disappointed on the land bill. I'm highly disappointed on GST. I don't think it's a, road infrastructure.
Is Vikram Kirloskar disappointed, or is the SIAM disappointed?
I think all of us are disappointed. SIAM is disappointed. I'm definitely personally very disappointed because how do you get rural people rich? That's the most important thing. How do you get them jobs if they're able to transport their goods out? If you can't build roads down to the rural area, if you can't provide electricity and power and education down to rural area, how can you do it without an infrastructure of communication? You can't just do it on a telephone. You can't ship apples on telephone or bananas or onions or whatever. You need the roads. And to say you can't acquire land to build a road means you are doing the life of a village all your life, all his life.
One question which really is bothering business across segments, not just automotive, is the slowdown in China,
Yes.
the overcapacity there, and the propensity of the Chinese to dump at whatever variable cost which can be. Because it does concern not automobiles, direct the OEMs, but the component sector, which is a thriving one here in our country.
The slowing of the Chinese economy with its huge capacity is going to affect the whole world. One big thing I think India has as a strength is its banking sector, its finance sector, which
It's
is
fundamentally strong.
It's fundamentally strong. Fundamentally, our borrowings as a percentage of GDP are low compared to a lot of these countries. So I think with these fundamentals that we have, and generally Indians buy Indian also to some extent, they have that affinity to this, and people will always buy what's made in India if the quality is good, and quality everywhere is improving. So yes, we're going to have this ups and downs. We're going to be hit as we are an open market with what happens in China, if US eases up, etc. But I still think long run, I'm always pro India.
Okay, let's remove your SIAM cap and put the Toyota cap on. We had Uchiyamada-san come here, and he is the father of the hybrid.
Yes.
And you have got just a Camry hybrid, which is one of the finest cars. Yeah. But if the hybrid technology has to proliferate in India, it needs to get down to an affordable price point, like Maruti showed yesterday.
I don't know what kind of hybrid that is.
It's a mild hybrid, whatever it is. But when you get a mild hybrid with whatever, and still it's cheaper than the predecessor, I think that's a big revolution in the minds.
Yes.
When is Toyota trying to get this revolution to attain critical mass?
Well, let me tell you, the level of hybrid technology we're using is completely different than anything else. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think we are seeding the market and seeing whether we can handle the technology itself in terms of maintenance, in terms of life, in terms of dealership performance, etc. That's one part of it. But as a strategy, what we've been doing last few years is we are concerned first of our existing 1 million customers. Okay, people say, why aren't you making small cars? Why aren't you making this
No,
cars?
that I understand. That's not the Toyota way.
We are looking at our existing 1 million customers. How can we make sure we retain them, look after them, and they don't see a fall in the value of what they have? So that's our first concern. So you'll see our product strategy as we go ahead more aimed at that. Certainly, we have to meet CAFE regulations coming up.
Sure.
Okay, and the first set of CAFE regulations, perhaps all of us in India are going to meet with difficulty, but we are going to meet. But the next set are very stringent and cannot be met with the existing product line, even evolving. It requires some
present genre of the technology.
It is not going to work out that easily for people. Because along with that, there is Euro 5, Euro 6 coming up. There's a whole lot of change. There's a whole change game going on. So at that point, I think you'll see a lot more stuff. As we start figuring out what is our strategy for the next round of CAFE regulations, Euro 5, Euro 6, next round of safety regulations, I think you will, once we are clear how to push that in with our product lineup, I think you'll start seeing better product. I'll also start seeing a more clearer picture of what is it going to look like.
Okay, one final question, and this is personal as well. One of the finest cars in the Indian market is the Innova.
Thank you.
By far. When is the next Innova coming?
Enjoy the Innova. It's always going to be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's where Vikram Kirloskar. The direction is clear from him. as far as issues concerning automotive industry is concerned, and he's very cagey about his bestseller. He better be, because I don't think there's still another version which can ever replicate or as a rival to the Innova. So till that time, yes, Toyota is really going smoothly.